my dear audience and friends, to another episode of Cancer Convos with Grace B. This is your host, Grace B, coming to you from New York City, the city that never sleeps and is home to Cancer Convos with Grace B. I'd like to thank you guys ever so much for still being our great supporters. As you all know, on this show, we aim to demystify the cancer disease and to bring on experts and stakeholders in the cancer space to come give their take. So, as we usually have, don't forget to do your medical checks because until there's a cure, prevention is the cure. So now in this episode, oh my goodness, I have an amazing guest. He's a husband, a father, a five-time cancer survivor, a triathlete, and God knows where he gets all his strength from. Aside that, he is the author of an insanely good book called Up for the Fight, which I have here for you guys to see, available on Amazon, and I advise you all to pick up a copy. This is my go-to, and this is my Bible right now. So we're going to be, hearing from him and about his experience and everything. And so without spilling too much of the beans, I'm going to be introducing Bill C. Potts to the show. Welcome, Bill, and it's so wonderful to see you today. Thank you so much for coming on.
Grace, it is great to see you. Your show is amazing, just like you. So it's an honor to be on your show.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much. A pleasure to have you on. So let's get straight to the topic. Would you, even though I've, done a bit of a synopsis of, your backstory, would you like to share a bit with us, please, with the audience?
Yeah, sure.
Your experience, please.
Thank you. Yeah. I started in 2002, went to the primary care physician, and he looked at me and said, there's something on your thyroid. Turned out to be thyroid cancer. So I had the thyroid removed, received radiation ablation treatment with iodine-131, which is the same radiation that was released from Chernobyl. And so I thought I was done. Yeah, I thought I was done with the cancer. But in 2008, was diagnosed with stage 3 lymphoma in Houston, and which is where I was living at the time. And then in 2014, my lymphoma came back. In 2019, my lymphoma came back again. And in 2020, I was diagnosed with prostate cancer and then lymphoma again. So it's 6 times with cancer. It's 5 times so far beating it. The prostate cancer is on hold. We're just going to watch and wait and see that. I am 21 months post-chemo from my lymphoma. I'm still pretty banged up from the chemotherapy. My immune system is still kind of a mess, so it's been kind of a lonely 21 months, but sooner or later I'll be able to get out and about in the world a little bit more aggressively. But I am really fortunate, Grace, to be able to say I'm a 5-time survivor, and I'm very grateful for that opportunity to be here, really talking to you, just to be here.
Yes. Honestly, it's a blessing to see you thrive. You are thriving, and this is what I told my friends and my community about you, and they were like 5 times, and I said yes, 5 times, and you need to see him. You wouldn't even know that he had gone through all that. So let's continue to give praise and thanks for having you here.
Yeah,
and looking so well.
Thank you
so much. So another question I usually ask my guests is because I'm someone that's very particular about mental health because I know that when I had cancer, I had these moments where I went into a state of depression. So what has your mental health been like? Your state of mind. Let me not say mental health. What has your state of mind been like during these 5 times you have been diagnosed with different types of cancers, please?
Yeah, it's been a roller coaster. As you know, when you're diagnosed initially, you kind of get hazy. It becomes hard to think. You become stressed. Everything changes in that moment that you've heard you've had cancer. I've been told that 7 times. 1 was wrong, and those experiences never get any easier. You go into that same kind of mental space of kind of sadness in disbelief and the inability to think clearly. But for me, because I've been through it so many times, Grace, I rebound from that pretty quickly. And so I immediately go into kind of a business mode or game mode, and I start focusing on, what's going to be the right treatment protocol, where am I going to get treated, what's coming up. And so my attitude generally is really positive, because I believe a positive attitude helps you. Clearly, going through the treatment, the chemotherapy, the immunotherapy, you have your dark days. I still have days where I wake up and I'm surprised at my mood, because I think everything is going fine, but sometimes it just catches up with you. But my overall mental state has been actually pretty positively good. And the results have been pretty good. I've had a couple times where I was kind of on the edge of not making it, but came through. And that kind of gives you a unique perspective on how to handle the battle. But I do get a lot of solace in support. And so, as you know, beating cancer is a team effort, and it takes a pretty big team around you. And I'm fortunate to have a close family, my wife and my 3 kids. They know how to rally around me. I need to rally around them too. But support from them, support from faith leaders, support from groups. And I've been pretty happy with some of the Facebook groups I'm on. And I also advocate that people get professional, support, either through social workers at the cancer facilities, or therapists, or groups like I do, because it really takes a lot of work to get your head around what you're going through. And I've been going through it for 20 years, so I have a lot of practice. But I do need others to kind of help guide me through that emotional and mental journey, because it is tough. And you also have to be cognizant of the mental and emotional health of your family. And so it was easy when they were little. So I started in 2002. My kids were small, 3 and 5. So they were kind of oblivious to the whole thing. But by the time they got to high school, and I'm going through it again, and in college, I'm going through it again, and now they're adults and they're working, and I'm going through it again, it becomes more important for them to have outside support, because they suffer seeing me suffer too. My wife, she talks about it in the book, but it's important for her to have other interests and other things to do, because she needs her group of friends so that she can get that support as well.
Absolutely. I'm so glad that your support system is very strong, because we all need that during these very dark times. But I'm so happy about your positive outlook, and that to me is, very important, because we have to encourage ourselves first before other people can encourage us, So I'm really, really, really glad about that.
Yeah, it's the thing I still struggle with is I still have some chemo side effects that can kind of creep up and are pretty tough. And I have to remind myself that I just got to deal with it, and I can't let them dictate my life, even though some of them dictate, what I do in my life. But I was talking to my doctor about it 4 months ago, and we're just kind of going through it, and he's like, you have to remember the big picture. You're alive.
Mm-hmm.
And these side effects that I may deal with forever are just side effects, but the big picture is you're here. So try to focus on that. And that was kind of good advice, because I was starting to whine a little bit. And he's like, no, whining not allowed. It's okay. But remember, we saved your life. The side effects are a result of that. So you're just going to have to adapt.
So true. So, so true. We thank our doctors, honestly. Um, so earlier on, you were saying, having all these experiences, you had to, find out what the protocol was, what you had to do, step by step. How easy or difficult has it been over this period of time to be able to maneuver the healthcare system? Because now we call ourselves like this as professional patients because it's happened so many times. Uh, and so I'm sure the audience would like to know how easy or difficult it was for you to maneuver the health system.
I was terrible at the beginning in 2002 because I let my medical care team dictate it for me. I let them own my journey. And I was dealing with a for-profit oncology center in Houston, and they actually wanted me to go through radiation ablation treatment a second time, telling me that my thyroid cancer was back. And I'm like, there's no way it's back, because I didn't have a, but it was super unlikely. And so at that point, I switched to MD Anderson and I started owning my journey. And that one conversation with the for-profit oncologist that was telling me to get another round of radiation, since it didn't add up with me, that really changed my perspective. And I'm like, oh my goodness, I need to be the one that owns my journey. And so when I got that second opinion at MD Anderson, they're like, yeah, no. We'll take care of you. No more radiation ablation treatment. Your cancer's not back. So we'll hold your hand through this journey. But that was the lesson that taught me how to navigate the system, which was me getting second opinions, me being an expert on the cancers, me going in with good questions with the doctors, me building a relationship with my healthcare team, but ultimately me making the call. And that really came in handy in 2008 when I was diagnosed with a stage 3 lymphoma at MD Anderson, and they told me my treatment protocol. And I'm like, no. They're like, no. I'm like, yeah, no, I don't want this one. And they're like, why? I'm like, I've studied it and I'm going to lose my hair. I'm in sales. I've got 3 kids. I need to make a living. And if I can't be that guy that goes into a sales call and have a conversation about me. If you're selling, you got to make it about the client. And they're like, okay.
Exactly.
They're like, okay. I'm like, okay. And they said, we'll get back with you. So I almost missed my flight, but they met as a team. There's like 8 of them, met as a team for 2 hours. And they came up with a plan, said, look, if this doesn't work, because we really don't know if it's going to work, then you'll lose your hair. You can go back. But all it's going to cost you is 12 weeks of treatment. And it's called, this is 2008. It's called immunotherapy. Like, you probably haven't heard of it. Well, nobody'd heard of it until 2009. Like, we're trying this out. We're going to see if it works. We'll put you in a trial. And it worked. And then I had confirmation that owning my own journey was okay. They weren't upset that I told them no on my treatment. They were happy because I'm advocating for myself. I'm owning my journey. They felt a part of it. As a matter of fact, they had my goal. I said, guys, you got to get me to age 93. Look, I know that's a stretch goal, but they're like, all right. And so immunotherapy was what saved me from stage 3 lymphoma back when immunotherapy was not even known. So I was really grateful for that. So it gets better. And so now it's pretty easy. It's just who I am, owning my journey. Navigating the healthcare system is pretty easy for me. It was a little challenging when I got diagnosed with prostate cancer and lymphoma during COVID, but I couldn't go to MD Anderson because of the COVID issues. I couldn't fly, and they wouldn't let me in for 2 weeks. And I needed to get in somewhere quickly, but I knew about Mayo. One of my family members had gone to Mayo. They'd saved that family member's life. So I called Mayo, and this interesting conversation, Mayo's like, you need to have a referral to come in here. And I'm like, I don't have a referral. I'm telling you, my cancer's back because I've been through this before. I can physically see it. It was the tumor on my hip. I said, it's back. And you know what she said? She goes, I trust you. We'll get you in. And I was there within a week.
Oh, wow. That's fantastic. And so, I would like to deduce a couple of things from this, which is, generally speaking, your experience with your healthcare team was fabulous, right? There was shared decision making. They listened to you, but sometimes we don't have it all too good. Was there any time that you felt that you weren't being listened to?
I don't think it's so much that I wasn't being listened to, but I wasn't getting all the information that I needed, which is one reason I wrote the book.
Yeah.
They can't understand what it's like from a patient perspective. because they're not a patient, right? So unless you've lived it, you can't really walk the talk. They're great, and they have no trouble listening. But what I'm not getting, which I think people need to get, is, okay, what's the process for going through cancer? Yes, you get appointments, but if you haven't been through it, you don't know what the staging process is like. You don't know what the potential treatments are going to be like. You don't know what to wear, what to do, what to drink when you go in for infusions. You don't know what the potential side effects are going to be. Look, there's so many side effects when you go through these drugs, and it's so unique by person and by drug. It's hard for them to tell you everything, but what they can't do is what I'm trying to do, is kind of give you the playbook for going through the cancer journey, because otherwise it gets really stressful. Now I've learned it through all this experience, and I'm trying to share that with others. But another area that seems to be really missed is the nutrition piece. Not just when you're going through treatment, but also post-treatment, how to deal with side effects. So I've hired a nutritionist to kind of coach me through that. And I use a dietitian from my healthcare company, because I'm not getting that from the cancer centers. Yes, I'm getting a pamphlet, I'm getting a brochure, but I'm not getting dialed in on those things that could really, help me either heal better or deal with the treatment better. And that's not a knock on them. That's just an area of improvement for them when they're looking holistically at the patient. I do get asked every time I'm in, what's my state of mind? What's my emotional state? But I've learned that it's best to handle that largely outside the cancer clinics, because I need support outside of there.
Absolutely. Oh, that's fantastic. And with this experience, this is a great motivation for writing this book, because, like you said, walking the walk and talking the talk. This makes it very, very, what should I say, believable, because these are instances you've been through. These are the interactions you've had with healthcare. These are, experiences that you want to put out there. And we couldn't be more happier with you writing this book as a guide for patients and their cancer patients and their caregivers.
Thank you.
So honestly, I've almost finished it, but I tell you, I think you have a lot of people that are going to be buying now, because I've just been putting it out there. It is a Bible, and I'm very, very, very blessed about that.
Oh, thank you.
So I I wanted to find out, because for me it's different, but this is not about me, it's about you. What are a couple of things that you wished you had known at the beginning of your journey, Bill?
I wish I had owned right up front that I needed to own my own journey. I mean, it's with 100%, it's almost 100% certainty. If I'd gone through a second round of radiation ablation treatment, I wouldn't be here having this conversation. It's most likely that my lymphoma, we'll never know, but the odds are that was a second cancer coming from the radiation treatment that I had for the thyroid cancer. My mistake was not doing my homework up front, getting a second opinion even before they had that radiation ablation treatment. That still may cost me my life. And so if I had known to get that second opinion, if I had known to own my own journey, my life would be potentially completely different. There wouldn't be a book, and I might not have had cancer, 5 or 6 times. So, but I don't look back. I mean, I answer your question because you ask, but I don't think about that. I can only look forward, and your path is your path, and you try to do the most with it. But that's what I wish I had known. And if your audience only gets the second opinion piece, that'll save lives.
Yeah.
If you look at MD Anderson, they do second opinions commonly. The math on that, I have to look up the updated data, but there's a decent percentage of people that get second opinions from MD Anderson that the initial diagnosis is wrong.
Yeah.
There's also a bigger percentage of second opinions at a place like MD Anderson. The staging is wrong, initial staging. So you want to get that second opinion. And it's not just MD Anderson, it's any of the big cancer centers, NCI accredited in particular, that are really great at that. And you want to get a second set of eyes on your information.
Absolutely. And like we always harp on this show, don't just go for second opinions, go for even third and fourth
Oh,
opinions.
for sure.
And then, make sure to deduce, what comes out of those um, subject matters at the end of the day. Thank you so much, Bill.
Mhm.
So, we're looking at the time, and so much has been said. What is I'd like to ask one or two things, that you would like that person, that the audience watching right now, to take away and hold close to heart about your experience. I know you spoke about uh, owning your journey and being part of, being an advocate and all that. But what else would you like to share that they could, as wisdom nugget?
Yeah, it's appropriate to even non-cancer patients, but the cancer journey has really changed my perspective on a lot of things. It's changed my relationship with money. I prefer now to spend money not on stuff. I prefer to spend it on experiences and time with people. So the money piece is a big deal, albeit we could have a whole separate podcast on the business of cancer, which is its own unique
We're
challenge.
going to do that, Bill. You beat me to it. The
Yeah,
financial toxicity
yeah,
and all.
it's a big deal on the finance side, but it's also changed my relationships with others. And so now I generally, not always, I don't sweat small things that are bothering me. Example, I was riding my bike, somebody threw a Mountain Dew, hit me in the back while I'm riding the bike from a car. And what my wife's like was behind me and she's like waiting for me to get mad. And I was like, wasn't even mad. I'm like, I'm fine. A little sting. I didn't crash. And I don't sweat the small things. Not always, but most of the time. Small things don't bother me. I also really try to live in the moment, which means spending less time on social media, more time in face-to-face conversations. I try to put my phone away if I'm with somebody else so I can focus on them. Like right now, I'm just focused on this conversation. I think one of the most beautiful things that has changed for me is knowing my current situation, and my cancer is incurable, so it's going to come back. So I know I need to keep going through this battle, and I know how hard it is to go through it each time, and it's cumulative, and they got to throw harder things at me to keep me alive. Is that I'm very free to tell my friends and my family that I love them, and this is something that I didn't really do before. And so I didn't want to be that person that didn't have the chance to say, "Hey, I love you." And so even with my friends, guy friends, any friend, I tell them. If I do, I tell them. They tell me back, and it's really magical. And with that, I work hard to improve relationships that I have that aren't going great, and those are largely, in many cases, on the business side. Relationships that I've had through the years that might have not been great, and I'm trying to work through those so that when my time comes, I've got a clean slate, and I don't harbor any anger or ill will, but I've patched things up no matter what, whether I was right or wrong. I'm trying to make sure those relationships are fixed.
That's wonderful, honestly. At the end of the day, that's what matters. I love the experience part because that's exactly what I do now. I want to go on a journey. I want to go
Mm,
see friends, old school friends and relatives I haven't seen for so long. It's as if we know that, cancer changes all of us. We know that the clock is ticking, so all those mundane things are, yeah, behind, and we're now being very, very intentional about how we live our lives right
mm.
now. So I can understand that, and it's a good thing, really. It's a
Yeah,
good.
and I think what I'm figuring it out, and I'm figuring it out through the book, is that um, what brings me joy, what brings me fulfillment, is helping other people,
Mhm.
and that's a good lesson for all of us. I was focused on career was going through cancer, but I you know I I was working and trying to provide and all those things, but I find, and I started finding it in my career too. Later in my career, I found jobs where I could be doing something that was making a difference and helping others. And that that's something I want to continue.
That's wonderful, Bill. I absolutely agree with that. And that's, in fact, that's what I think that's the thing that we talk about when we say we wouldn't want to have cancer, but if cancer has made us do what we're doing now, then so be it. There's a reason for everything.
Well, yeah, it's true. The book wasn't even my idea. It was the pastor at Mayo when I was having a breakdown, emotional breakdown after surgery to remove that tumor from below my hip. And, I was really questioning why. I told her I wasn't sure I was up for the fight anymore because I knew what was coming with the cancer treatment. I was wrong. It was a lot worse than I had anticipated. But she said you should turn your pain into purpose and write a book to help others. And remember, I was coming off of anesthesia and an emotional breakdown all in the same hour. And I reconnected with all the reasons why I wanted to fight. And I told her I would do the book. And I wouldn't have done it if she hadn't suggested it. And that became my purpose. I wrote it while going through chemo. And I think you hit the nail on the head earlier. It is a challenging subject for me to talk about, let alone write about. So it's kind of triggering. But my purpose for the book overruled my uncomfortableness or anxiousness, or the moods I go through writing the book. There was one time, Grace, I called my wife. I was writing the book, and I called her, and I'm like, "There's something wrong with me," and she's like, "Let me take your blood pressure," and I'm laying down, and my blood pressure's through the roof, my heart's racing, and she goes, "Were you working on the book?" And I'm like, "Yeah." She goes, "Which part?" I said, "The part about dying." She goes, "No wonder." She goes, "You're basically just reacting to that emotion of writing the book." And I'm like, "You're right." And, so even I'm sure you go through it too, moments where you look back and, physiologically you change.
Mhm. Very much. I can relate to that very much. Even when I wrote my book, I several times, especially after my mastectomy. Um, yeah, those were crazy times. But
By the way, your book is awesome.
really,
I enjoyed it so much, and it was so inspiring.
oh, bless. Thank you
Yeah.
so much, Bill.
Well,
Thank
thanks for
you
writing it.
for the support. I put in a lot of humor, just so as to make, that's what I was going through. Anyway, this is not about, but I'm so happy you got to read it. Thank you so much. Yeah. Um, this is going to be a very difficult one, but just one thing you feel should be changed in the healthcare system before I now ask about one fun thing about you.
Yeah, I think in the healthcare system, in addition to what we all feel about, which is accessibility, for those that don't have great insurance, that bothers me immensely. I'm fortunate that I've had good, probably not great insurance, but have been able to have insurance, and those that don't have insurance, or have bad insurance, it bothers me immensely. They can't get the same level of treatment that I do. But I think bigger, you said it earlier at the beginning, it's prevention. The healthcare system, to me, is focused on a lot of times is focused on the wrong issue, which is how to fix the problem. Okay, how about we focus on not having the problem?
Mhm.
Let's focus on prevention, like you said, which is let's do a bigger effort on smoking. Let's do or non-smoking. Let's do a bigger effort on healthy diet, because a healthy diet can reduce the risk of multiple cancers.
Absolutely.
The risk of a bad diet and obesity. Can we come up with some better solutions and focus on that? Uh, Wearing better sunscreen, all those things that can reduce cancer
Mhm.
isn't really talked about by the healthcare system. If we can stop one person from getting cancer, and we can, if one person stops smoking, then that's going to reduce the strain on the healthcare system and improve the outcomes for everybody. So that's I could go for a long time on that one.
Yes, yes. I know. I know. We could all go on for a long time about that, honestly. And one fun thing about you, Bill,
I am
before
obsessed
I
with
let you go.
I'm obsessed with my dog, and people would never
Oh,
have guessed
bless.
that because I wasn't a dog person. And then I have this little dog snoring behind me right now named Pippa, and people crack up that
Wish I could have seen you, could have come. Come on.
Oh yeah, I would
Well,
grab
don't
her, but
disturb.
she's snoring. Yeah, but she you can see pictures of her on my website, of course. But people
Yes, I
crack
did.
up that I'm so obsessed about my dog. She's the most walked dog probably in the world. I walk her constantly because she's so cute, and I just like getting outside with her. So it's pretty fun. She sleeps with me now, and at night, and it's just hilariously awesome.
Oh, wonderful. Honestly, I'm so glad she's there to, you know, cozy up to you in those moments that we do need a hug, So, really, they're our own best friends, those pooches, honestly.
Oh, I joke that she's my therapy dog, but it really isn't a joke. And
Yeah,
I love her so much, and she's so good for me. She's the right dog for me at the right time. She's been with me through, especially the last few years, every step of the way. She's been there with my journey. She sat next to me while I wrote the book, and it's special to have a pet, and for cancer patients, a pet is a great idea while you're going through it if you can take care of him or her.
absolutely. It's a pleasure to have had this conversation with you, Bill. Honestly, I'm so honored for you to
Same.
have come on and shared your experience and given us those wisdom nuggets that we so desire to hear and
Mm,
desire to be informed about. Um, you'll be coming on to the show where we'll talk about something else, the financial part of
sure.
cancer. Be sure about that. I hope, I'll be able to get a pass to have you on.
That's awesome. I look forward to it.
Thank you. So before I sign you out, let me speak to the audience. So, my dear audience and friends, there you have it. You've been listening to the amazing Bill C. Potts, um, a five-time cancer survivor, six times, should I say, an amazing author, a business leader, an entrepreneur, loving husband and father who has been doing amazing work after his, cancer experience, even during his cancer experience, because he's living it at the moment. And so I'm so glad you guys have been able to listen to this and take away some wisdom nuggets. And as we always say, until there's a cure, prevention is the cure. Thank you so much for listening and see you in the next episode. Ciao, ciao. God bless. Bye bye.